I am pissed off. Some dealerships are the absolute worst. Let me tell you about it. Now, if you guys don't know, my name's Tommy. I've been in the car business most of my adult life, done sales and finance, but now I negotiate car deals. Let me tell you the story. I want to start off this video by saying 99% of dealerships are just fine. Realistically, they're trying to make a profit, but nothing wrong with that. But there is a 1% bad apple, and these dealerships just shouldn't exist. The people that work in them should get fired, and they should revamp them. Remember, when you're buying a car, you're spending anywhere from $30,000 to $100,000. You're spending a lot of money, so they should treat you with damn respect. And if they don't, you shouldn't be in business. I don't care if it's a good deal, bad deal, or you're losing money. You should treat these people with respect. Now, when I negotiate a car deal, just a heads up, I don't call a dealership up and say, hey, I'm Tommy the negotiator. I'm going to negotiate the hell out of you. That just doesn't work. Dealerships sometimes get turned off with that idea. So I kind of secret shop them. I just act as if I'm a customer buying the car, and then I just turn it over to the customer at the end saying I'm helping a friend buy a vehicle. That's been the easiest way, but enough about me. I want to talk about this dealership that I was working with that was the absolute worst. Ended up having our customer walk away from the deal altogether. So I'm working a deal up in Michigan. I'm not going to call the dealership's name out, but it's a Subaru dealership. Anyway, we're going back and forth. I'm trying to get a lease deal. Now, with a lease deal, when I'm working with my client, I have an exact payment that I'm trying to achieve. I pay for a calculator that gives me all the exact numbers, so it's within a few dollars of right every single time. Now, compare this to online calculators, or even worse, the dealership website that have calculators. Those are not worth anything at all. They're almost always accurate. They don't include taxes, and they can be up to $200 off. So just never trust those. They're designed to get you in the door. So anyway, I'm working with this dealership, and I expect the payment to be right around $480. They're quoting me at $550. So the salesperson eventually calls me because we're so far apart. And I think it's easier for me just to deal with this over the phone. And he says, I don't know what calculator you're using, but you're absolutely wrong. I don't know if you know how to do math. And he says it in a very condescending way. But your payments are $550. I've done a lot of Forester touring deals, and I've never seen a $400 payment. And that just doesn't exist. So if that's what you're trying to do, you need to come back to reality. And again, the guy's being an asshole, but realistically, as I tell everybody, don't get emotionally attached. Don't get emotionally involved. Realistically, this is just a game back and forth. So I say, you know what? I was in finance for 6 years, dude. I know more about money factors and leases than you probably ever have done as a salesperson. So let's talk about it. Your residual value should be here. Your money factor is here. The discount is here. So based on all of that, our payment should be here. So tell me what you're marking up. Is it the money factor, or are you having some extra fees in the back end, or are you just puffing up that payment to make it seem bigger so your back end can make, so you can make more on the back end? Long story short, that kind of shushes them up. He says, let me call you back. So then the manager calls, and the manager calls and says, I'm sorry, man, I don't know what your calculator is, but the payments are coming in at $550. I might be able to get you down to like $530 if you come in store today, but you're gonna have to negotiate that in store. I'm not gonna just give you that over the phone. So I just flat out tell him, like, dude, this is what I talk to a lot of guys. I say, man, if you're willing to give me $530 over the phone, but you're not willing to commit that you can give me $530 right now, how hard do you think it's going to be for me to be in store to negotiate that? It's going to be a pain in the ass, and we both know that. So let's get to a number we both can agree to so I can walk into your dealership, I can sign paperwork, and I can leave. That kind of shuts him up, and he says, I don't know what kind of math you're doing, but you're an absolute idiot. This is not going to work. Our payments are going to be at $530. Take it or leave it. And he hangs up. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to start working on the deal. Maybe 30 minutes later, the salesperson calls me right back and says, you know what, we decided we'll do the $490 payment. Again, they knew that the payments were there all along. They were playing this game. He called me idiot. He called me dumb. He called me all these things. And again, I say don't get emotionally attached to a dealership. And again, I'm the one taking the brunt force, not the client. But realistically, I get everything in writing. And the only other caveat is that my client has a trade. We have other trade offers, but realistically, this is a lease buyout from Ally that the dealership says they have the ability to do. So they say they need to appraise the car before they can do this. This happens quite a bit. And when I have offers from other dealerships, I don't mind the client going in there to get appraised, because worst case, take it to the other dealership. We don't have to sell it to them. So I send the customer in. And first off, the salesperson's not ready when they get there, which is fine. People get busy realistically. And the sales manager comes over and is absolutely condescending and kind of an asshole to them as well, saying, I'm sorry, I don't know who told you that we could buy out this lease, but there's no way we can buy out the lease. You should just turn it in. There's no equity. Now, I don't need to go into why we needed to buy it out, but we definitely want to get an appraisal. It made more sense for the client to buy this car out than it did just to turn it in, just due to some mileage that was over. So they go back and forth, and the sales manager basically calls them an idiot, saying we can't do this. Salesperson comes over and just says, you know what, like, I don't know what my manager's doing, but I think he's being dumb and this is ridiculous. We should be able to take in your car. Let me go talk to him. So they start going back and forth. And on the whole time, but the customers are calling me saying, what the hell is happening? What is going on? And again, I can't always control what happens at the dealership, but we all kind of agreed that there was something funny going on, and we decided not to do business with them. So again, I always tell them never to give keys if you don't have to. So they just got in the car and left. And this is how you know a dealership just isn't worth their salt, and why they probably won't be in business in 5 years. The dealership, after like nobody chases them out, which which is absolutely crazy. And again, they were only there for like 5-10 minutes. We agreed to numbers. There was everything in writing. I mean, this is a pretty solid deal in my eyes. And again, I very rarely have this. If I was in the dealership, I'd be chasing after these guys, but he went inside for a second and he just watched them leave. He watched them walk out and leave. I stay on speakerphone the whole time. I said, I bet the dealership calls me in about 5-10 minutes. Lo and behold, they called me in 5 and 10 minutes. And the salesperson says, what happened, man? I saw you guys leave and I didn't know what was going on. So I decided to call him. I just simply said, hey, like the whole process, you've been rude. Sales manager's been rude. Everybody's been rude. We just didn't really feel welcome. We just decided that we need to take a step back and reevaluate our options. Without him he never apologized. He didn't say, I'm sorry. He didn't say anything. He just said, fine, and hung up the phone. Again, he had an attitude problem. This is a really long story, but realistically, the moral of the story, it's okay to walk away from a car deal. It is going to take me 10 minutes for me to take that offer that I have in writing to another dealership and have them match that car deal. And my clients are gonna get a better experience. Realistically, this dealership was about 10 minutes away from their home. It made more sense to go to this dealership. And honestly, even with asshole dealerships, I don't normally run into these kind of issues. But here we are, dealership is an absolute asshole, and sometimes it's okay to walk away. I know this is the long story, but what I want to talk about, the moral of the story is some dealerships are going to be bad apples. Plenty of them are fine. Don't get emotionally attached, and even when all these things are happening, don't be afraid to walk away. It's okay to walk away and have a reset. And I bet you anything, this dealership's gonna be calling me tomorrow, begging me for my business, because that's what this normally happens. They walk away because they're all high and mighty, and then they realize they have 15 of these Forester Tourings. They need to get rid of them, so they're gonna call me and try to get them. And guess what? I'm not gonna buy their car. My client's not gonna buy their cars. My client doesn't feel welcome. We don't feel welcome. And again, this is transactional. This should have just been a paperwork sign and go, but they made this way more difficult by calling my client an idiot, by calling me an idiot, and making us all feel dumb throughout the way. So I don't like it. Don't do business with bad apples. I don't care if it's a great deal or not. If a dealership is giving you this much trouble, just have them match the deal with somebody else and do it with a dealership you enjoy. If you guys like this content, I want you to like, follow, subscribe. Thank you so much and have a great day.